Good evening. Today, I plan on discussing the effect of caffeine and pre-workout on exercise performance. Before I get started, there are some things to know about me. My name is Aryan Kulkarni, and I'm a senior at Galileo Magnet High School. In the fall of 2024, I plan to attend the University of Virginia to pursue a double major in computer science and finance. There may be questions as to why I have selected this topic. While conducting research on the best supplements to use, I noticed that the specific supplements that I was looking at had not been studied in any previous literature. I knew that in the field of sports science, testing each specific product was crucial. Also, growing up, I've always played sports, and I realized that many of them involve lower body endurance. I run cross country and track, and I also play soccer, so I've always wondered how I can further enhance my practices to get the most out of it. Not to mention, the results obtained from this study will also help aid in public health, as individuals will receive a greater exercise benefit with the supplementation, which in turn will lead to better cardiovascular well-being. Before I conducted my experiment, I decided to evaluate the current state of the field. In one study, it was found that pre-workout supplements typically contain a variety of components such as taurine, caffeine, beta-alanine, branched-chain amino acids, and glucuronolactone. This suggests that there is an uncertainty as to if a combined synergistic effect of all these ingredients causes enhanced performance, or just a single dominant ingredient, which many deem to be caffeine. Caffeinated drinks also contain additional ingredients and form an energy matrix compared to a singular caffeine pill. This energy matrix is known to lead to greater brain and nervous system activity. Caffeine pills have been more commonly used in studies as they have shown a positive correlation in terms of their intake and their output. However, the ideal form of caffeine is still unknown. But it is also important to consider the specific type of caffeinated drink that's being tested, since different products may contain varying amounts of ingredients presenting a lurking variable. Supplement loading time and wait time are also key factors. Loading time refers to the time needed for a supplement to fully integrate and adapt into an individual's body system, and this is measured on a long-term basis. Wait time, however, refers to the effects of the supplement after ingestion and is measured on the short-term basis. Wait time is not a significant factor, as studies have used both 20 minutes and 60 minutes, producing identical results. Caffeine is shown to have a positive effect on various means of exercise. Both aerobic and anaerobic forms of exercise are known to better cardiovascular well-being. Aerobic refers to the presence of oxygen, whereas anaerobic refers to the lack of it. The ingredients in the caffeine can enhance the body's metabolic processes and enhance performance, but this varies in different populations. Caffeine-specific thermogenic effect causes greater fat loss and thus more power available for exercise. Pre-workout supplements typically have an effect on enhancing large muscle groups. Exercises such as squats affect the gluteal muscles, the quadriceps, and the hamstrings, as depicted in the diagram above. Furthermore, pre-workout supplementation also increases time to fatigue. However, this is only known to be associated with a controlled rest time, which many deem to be 2 minutes. This ensures that the slow twitch and fast twitch muscle fibers of the body are able to properly relax and prepare for contraction once again. However, one study found that pre-workout ingestion had no effect on lower or upper body aerobic measures, which could mean that the supplement that they used, which was the Amino Impact pre-workout supplement, was ineffective at producing a short-term effect. This could also mean that the specific exercise that was paired with it was incompatible. The effectiveness of this supplement is not proven in teenagers, as past studies have only viewed resistance-trained males and females, ignoring a booming population of teenagers who have started to use these supplements. Also, past studies have not viewed the specific drinks of the GNC pre-workout or the Celsius caffeinated drink, indicating that product-specific research has not been conducted. Additionally, the specific exercise of deadlift has not been paired with acute pre-workout ingestion. Therefore, this lack of research has led me to my research question. What is the effect of a caffeinated drink versus a pre-workout supplement on lower body output performance in teenagers? The null hypothesis I formulated in relation to this research question was If the participant consumes a pre-workout supplement prior to exercising, then their lower body output performance will show no difference compared to the caffeinated drinks. This hypothesis was based on the fact that different populations of participants experience varying effects with supplementation, so it's unclear as to if this supplement will induce an effect in this target population. The research hypothesis for this experiment stated if the participant consumes a pre-workout supplement prior to exercising, then their lower body output performance will be greater than that of the caffeinated drinks. This hypothesis was based on previous research which suggested that ergogenic aids with a combination of many ingredients are known to better performance. The independent variables in my experiment include the different supplements ingested, and the dependent variables included the maximum weight obtained on the deadlift and the maximum power obtained on the bike sprint trial. Since this was a crossover study, my participants served as their own control group with the placebo trial. My constants included the amount and brand of caffeine, placebo, and pre-workout administered, the rest time in between sets, and the 30-minute wait time after ingestion. I also used the same stretches for each group, the same resistance level on the bike, and the same barbell for all deadlift trials. To begin, I first gathered permission from superintendents, principals, participants, as well as parents. I then collected all my solutions and formulated 90 milliliters of each. I made sure to obtain the same flavor to avoid any lurking variables in terms of taste. Following that, I randomly assigned my 30 participants into 3 experimental groups based on identification number. This sample of 30 participants consisted of high school teenagers who have had experience playing sports. As participants arrived at their allotted times, they were instructed to sign in and were shown the proper technique as depicted in the images above. After this, they consumed the first group, which was the placebo, 30 minutes prior to exercising. In the 30 minutes, the participants were told to remain stationary and perform stretching exercises such as butterfly stretch, arm circles, to avoid any risk of injury. Following that, the first group of participants started the deadlift trial, starting off with an empty 45-pound barbell and adding on weight until failure. Following that, the participants were given a 5-minute rest period. The next trial was the bike sprint for 30 seconds at a resistance level of 10. After that, the participants were instructed to cool down with the same stretches as before and signed out for the treatment day. The same regimen was used for the other 2 groups, but the other 2 days consisted of different drinks. After all 3 rounds of testing were performed, the participants were debriefed about the facts of the study. I then gathered all my data to view the trends present and perform statistical analyses with the use of the data classroom software. To better understand my data, I decided to produce a graphical representation of it. The graph shown above showcases a scatter plot for the data in variation in treatment group versus deadlift output. As you can see in the box region above, the values appear clustered around the same intervals. This means that in each group, the results produced were similar and remain like that across groups, indicating that no major changes occurred. Moreover, this second scatter plot shows the correlation between the various exercise groups and the bike sprint trials. In the box region above, you can see that the values represented by the data points for the GNC and Celsius groups are significantly higher than that of the placebos. This means that the GNC and the Celsius strings generally caused a greater power output and produced higher wattage values than the placebo groups. Outlined above in green and purple are the standard errors in the mean for the deadlift and the exercise bike trial respectively. Since the standard error in the mean is much greater than 0 in this data set, this means that if the experiment were to be conducted again with a different population, the mean would vary significantly. However, this is common in the field of sports science as different populations experience varying effects. To accurately test my hypotheses, I decided to view 2 measures of lower body performance. Thus, I used 2 separate ANOVA tests to analyze my data. The ANOVA test for the deadlift yielded a p-value of 0.43 and allowed me to determine whether my groups were statistically different. Since the p-value obtained was greater than the confidence interval of 0.05, there was insufficient evidence to reject my null hypothesis. This means that the pre-workout did not necessarily have as great of an effect on the maximum weight obtained in the deadlift as the caffeine or the placebo. The second ANOVA test allowed me to determine if there was a difference in my bike sprint groups. This result indicated that the groups were significantly different since the p-value was less than 0.01, allowing me to reject my null hypothesis. This means that in that trial, the pre-workout had a greater ergogenic benefit on the maximum power obtained on the bike sprint as the caffeine or the placebo. The results of this study imply that pre-workout can be used by athletes and coaches to augment their training methods for optimal aerobic performance. Furthermore, this result can be applied to all levels of sports, ranging from high school sports to collegiate sports and even professional sports in moderation. Although the experimental protocol was carefully designed to minimize any potential errors, there were still some limitations that could have contributed to the results obtained. The most glaring limitation of the study was the low sample size of 30 participants. Although having 30 participants is proper for statistical analysis, having a greater sample size would allow the sample to be less biased and more representative of the general population. Furthermore, many studies also used a weight-specific dose per participant. However, that was not feasible due to the time restraints of the study. Also, since this study involved high school teenagers who are still physically developing, I believe it would pose an ethical violation to disrupt or restrict their dietary habits with a diet law for this protocol. Considering these limitations, future research should be conducted utilizing the supplements used in this study over a longer period of time to view the common trends present. Furthermore, additional research must be conducted with different products to verify the trend determined in the study, since product-specific research is important in sports science. Also, this protocol needs to be tested on other exercises to determine if this trend is existing in varying muscle groups and different populations as well. Although the results of my study may not have been fully conclusive, I learned the importance of time management. Whether it was reading my articles or performing my study, I had to schedule everything out in advance to avoid for any errors. Additionally, this study also increased my current knowledge of the fitness field, and I hope I will be able to apply what I've learned to hopefully win more soccer games. I want to thank my participants for their involvement in all aspects of my study. I also would like to thank Urban Fitness for allowing me to perform my study at their location. And lastly, I want to offer thanks to Ms. Catherine Long, who is instrumental in all aspects of the research process. Thank you for listening to my presentation. At this time, I will take any questions. Yes,
so you talked a little bit about diet. I guess, do you have any indication of the other supplementation used by the participants, and do you think that affected your results?
So Mr. Talarico asked if any other supplementation could have affected the results. Since caffeine is a very common ingredient, since a lot of people drink coffee, I think that could have contributed to that trial specifically, but I didn't believe I should do a diet log since it involved this sample. This was Walls.
Amongst your groups, did you control a little bit for the variation between male and female? Like what each of the groups that you were doing, did you have an even split between the male and female group, or were they overly female or overly male?
So Ms. Walls asked if there was a split in my groups. Since the participants served as their own control, they were being compared to themselves. I only split it into 3 groups to make sure that the times were staggered, so no group would have more rest time or more ingestion time. Yes, Mr. Tyler.
So you said the participants were experienced in the gym. I guess what was the range of experience level? Was there novice to experienced, or?
So Mr. Talarico asked the level of experience of the participants. Most participants, almost all the participants were high school athletes, so they've had some experience in the gym, but the level has been varying from novice to expert.